So, you co-founded Eventbrite, and obviously been with the company since the beginning. What is the greatest challenge about building a billion-dollar business?
Well, I think it's all about execution and how do you take something that's just an idea into first a product, and how do you build a team that can make that product adopted by people around the world, and how do you find these people who are going to enhance what you had at the beginning, your own skills as co-founders, and take you to the next level along the way. We've gone from 3 people to 500. There's been a lot of people that left along the way, so how do you keep the momentum going and keep on executing well?
Sure.
Is the main challenge, for sure.
And so how did that founding team come together, and what do you look for in a co-founder?
Well, we were introduced, they're husband and wife, Kevin and Julia Hux. A friend of ours in common introduced me to them when they were thinking about launching the events platform. So the tech guy on the team, they asked around who knew someone who could build this, and that's how I met them, and we started working together. I think you look for complementarity, first of all. Like, what are your skills? And can you divide all the work that you need to do as a startup between equally across all the co-founders, so that you do not overstep on each other's toe, and you have clear areas of responsibility. I think that's really important, to be as efficient as possible and to cover as many bases as you can.
Mm. And what really attracted you about the project? And did you have an idea it could be as big as it has become?
I think the immense... we didn't know how big it would be when we launched, but the long tail of events, the small, medium-sized events that were happening everywhere in the world and just had no technology that was adapted to their model. Just the potential that this type of application could have was pretty exciting. I always wanted to build things that could be used by millions of people, and there was a clear gap in the market for any tool that would make the life of the organizer easier. So when Kevin talked about the idea and how he saw the product that we could build, I got very excited. I think that's exactly the type of challenges I was looking for. Very ambitious, very potentially changing an entire industry into something different. Those, I think, are the things that excite engineers like me. We want to build cool stuff, and if it's used by everyone or as many people as possible, even better.
Sure. And how has your role evolved as the company's grown, and how do you kind of adapt to make sure you stay relevant?
It's a constant challenge. I mean, technology changes really fast, and your product doesn't change as fast as technology does. So staying relevant while remaining really focused on what you built and maintaining it and improving it is definitely a tough challenge. That's why you hire people who can help you along the way to fill the gaps that you have in your own tech knowledge. Like, one person cannot know everything about the entire spectrum of technologies that we are using. So we found people who are experts in separate fields. In fraud, for example, how do you fight fraud when you're an e-commerce company? That's not something I knew anything about. So we hired people who could make sense of it. When we started, I was doing everything: building the product, maintaining the database, installing software, getting servers. That's what you have to do when you're a young company. You get a pitch in, and even if you don't know or you're not the expert, you still learn. You ask your friends, your network, how to do certain things. But as the company evolves and people start relying on your product, you got to make sure you have the right technology in place. Finding those people who will help you along the way, maybe employees, maybe it's friends, maybe it's connections, maybe it's investors, a vested interest in you being successful. You need to find those talent pool and extract the most out of it. I think that's the challenge in my position now. Also, how do I look at all the cool technologies out there and decide which ones we're going to incorporate into our products, how to best incorporate them, what problems do they solve, how do we make, in the end, the client happy and improve their lives, or whatever it is that the product does.
And is there a stage of the company's growth that you really look at and think, that's the stage I enjoyed, that was really exciting?
Well, I think when you're a small team, you have a lot of power, you have a lot of responsibility, so it's really fulfilling to see that your own actions have such a direct impact on making it happen. I think as the company grows, you probably put more questioning into what your personal value is, but I think that's the challenge every co-founder faces at some point is, are you still relevant to the company? Are you still bringing enough value that you should stay in? Or I really enjoy the startup days, but I also enjoy very much the stage we're at now. So can you, as a co-founder, evolve and adapt and find your place into the new organization? Because companies do change organizationally, especially as you expand abroad. You have offices that people haven't met ever in real life that are working together. So it's a very different dynamic than when you're all in one room and working side by side. But I still find excitement into all the challenges that we have. How do we keep fresh, keep a young face, cool product that everybody wants to use? How do we incorporate all these new technologies that can make our products even better? Those are the exciting parts, I think, of building a company.
And I'm sure over the existence of the company, there's been periods when it has been difficult or things haven't been going as well as you'd hope or expect. How do you kind of maintain confidence in your own business, but also give off that appearance of confidence to your team?
Yeah, it's a challenge, and keeping growth going, especially at the size that we're at. We did 1.5 billion in ticket sales last year, so it's huge existing user base. And how do we keep growing? How do we keep the team motivated? How do we keep the challenges interesting? Those are all the questions we keep asking ourselves all the time since we started. I think it's all about what you want to build, what type of company you want to build, what values you want to share with all your coworkers. We spend a lot of time, Julia actually is spending most of her time focusing on culture, on how to keep everyone motivated, on transparency, making sure everybody's in the loop as to why we made certain decisions. But yeah, it's a challenge. I think it's a fun challenge. And sometimes we don't succeed and we have to rethink how we do things. I think there were several stages in the company where we started losing more people than we were hiring. The motivation wasn't there, so we had to put other programs in place to make sure we found the right people, first of all, when we hired them, and then we kept them engaged and motivated along the way. That's true.
And to talk about hiring, a lot of leaders discuss hiring people smarter than themselves, and it's almost become a cliche in some respects. Like, what does that actually mean, and how do you ensure you do that and get the right people for your business?
I think you find people who are much smarter than you in certain aspects of the work that you're doing. Yeah. I think a lot of founders are very pluralistic in their skills. They have a better sense of business or even product design than some of our engineers who are really super bright on the tech side, like the pure programming side. I don't have a tech background myself. I was a civil engineer before I did this. So I don't have maybe the fundamentals that they have, but I have a varied experience that helped me, I think, understand how building something impacts the overall state of the company. So I think you hire to fill your gaps, like where you're the weakest, and you can always find smarter people in everything that you do. But it doesn't make you a lesser individual. I think you have just a different set of skills that are maybe not as perfect in one area, but you have overall knowledge. I think that's the main transition as you grow a company, is that you'll need more and more of these people who are so focused on one aspect of the business that they bring the game to an entire new level when they join your company, and can put in place all the processes that they know that work, and use their experience from past jobs with your company. I think that's tremendous as well, to know what has worked at previously successful companies, and you can translate that into your model.
And over the last 3 or 4 years, you guys have been on a kind of rapid global expansion. I'm sure hiring was one part of that, but what are the lessons you learned from taking a company?
I think we doubled the team last year, so it's a big investment. I think we did it a smart way, but there's still a lot of onboarding that needs to happen, a lot of training, a lot of connecting that probably doesn't come naturally, that we need to make happen faster. So it's a challenge to grow a team that fast. I think this year we'll slow down a little bit and focus on the tech part.
Sure. And in terms of integrating businesses, you acquired two companies, I think, in September 2013, one in Argentina, one in London.
Mm-hmm.
How do you effectively bring companies into your operation? What's your cultural?
Well, it really depends on the company, and both acquisitions were quite different. One was a pure market expansion play, someone who was doing something very similar to what we did. That was CTOs in South America. We let them run their business for a while. Now we're in the process of integrating so we can have one consolidated brand across the world. That's our goal eventually. They've been great. We have a great engineering team there, for example, that's just expanded what we can do on the engineering side. We built a team in Brazil as well that's really attacking the market very aggressively. I think we're pretty bullish on Brazil in general, so having that presence really made a difference. Lanyard was much more talent acquisition. Their platform was also working very well and could be complementary to ours. We just still thinking through how we pull all the stuff that they built into our platform, which elements will pull. I think it's more about that. But acquiring talent is definitely one of our priorities, especially on the engineering side. It's really competitive in the Valley. People get offers regularly. I talk to my engineers several times a day. A recruiter calls them, offers them probably higher salary and higher options. So that's the reality of doing business there. And if your people are not so focused about, are so excited about what they're doing every day, then they'll think about their options. That's challenging.
So how do you retain your best talent?
I think for the engineering side, at least, it's making them work on projects that are cool. It's as simple as that. Like if they feel that they are being challenged in their knowledge, in the way they apply their skills, and that we give them the freedom to experiment, to create the things that they think will make the company successful. I think they love the ownership as well, feeling entitled to one particular area of the product that they're responsible for. That's, I think, all the levers that you have for motivating engineers and for them not to care too much about all these attractive offers that they get elsewhere.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk early last year about you guys potentially going public and doing an IPO. But then the money you raised suggested maybe that's on the back burner. What are your thoughts around that, and is that an ambition at some point?
And my co-founder says it all the time. Like I think we'll do an IPO when we think we're ready, when the numbers are right, when the market is right. There has been a lot of tech IPOs this year, so it's good a sign that people are excited about the tech space again. But well, raising money was in part so we don't feel pressured to go public. We see that as another round of investment that will come in when we do go public, and we'll decide when the right time is. I mean, as we grow older, it becomes closer and closer. I think I don't know exactly when or how it will happen.
Cool, perfect. Thank you for your time.
Sure, thank you.
Great.